into the Gospel of Matthew, we hear Jesus expressing truth to the little ones. And of course, I've been visiting our schools again this year, and there is an eternal search for truth among the little ones, and in a humorous way especially. And so the kindergartners a year ago at one of our schools asked me, in their search of truth of the bishop, said, do you dye your hair? I said, no, what you see is what you get. So this year was the 7th grader so far, and 7th grader asked, do you use hair gel? I said, no. So part of the question, I think, for us as we enter into this reading and on this retreat especially is, letting truth really speak to us. And it's really the truth of Jesus Christ. As St. John said in the second letter that we read, let us love one another because love is of God. And everyone who loves is begotten by God and knows God. In the end, the reason we do what we do is because of the love of God. It's the love of God that draws us into really that special relationship. And understand some of you have been having some personal revelations on your own gifts and characteristics and talents. Those actually prove to be both humorous on one side, but on the other side, it's really meant to be a revelation of truth of the blessing that God has made in you and the blessing that God has given to you in a special way and to me. In the end, all of this really happens in our relationship with Jesus Christ, in the end. And it's in Him that we come to know the Father. It's in Him that the Spirit really reveals all the gifts and talents that are ours and that are meant to be shared, especially as educators. And I take Jesus really at His word when He says to us in the gospel, come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. You've come on retreat to take a moment to rest, but to come to Him. And so we bring to Him all that's happened. The good, the bad, yes, and even the ugly. Those moments when you have parents sitting across from you from your desk and you're trying to decide whether to grab the holy water or grab the lighter, one of the two. Letting God, what's God saying? I know for myself, when I have things that hit my desk, I find myself often looking up to heaven and say, huh? Huh? It really does in the end become a moment when we have to face, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am meek and gentle of heart, humble of heart. And I will give you rest for yourselves, wherein my yoke is easy, my burden light. And the yoke he's really talking about is not the parent sitting in front of us. The yoke is faith, hope, and love in Him. And that's really who we're called to be. People of faith, hope, and love in Him. And that's also the challenge. And he says amazingly, for my burden is light. So when we walk truly in faith, we truly walk in hope in him, we truly walk in love with him, that really does free us. And it frees us to love the folks that are in front of us, to love the folks that are there. Each of you, I think, share your life with your students, your faculty, your staff, and those really are moments of Jesus moments, really, all of them. And I guess I would ask for you, and for me too, what have been some of the Jesus moments you've had so far this semester especially? What are some of the Jesus moments that God has touched your heart? And it could be a young person that said something to you that's lifted your heart. Or it could be something that happened in the school or class that lifted your heart. Or it could be just a sense of the presence of Jesus Christ. All of a sudden, you know he's walking with you. All of a sudden, you know he loves you. All of a sudden, you know he gave his life for you. And all of a sudden, you know, when you receive Holy Communion especially, that you are one with him. And he is especially one with you. So let's take to heart this gospel. Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Learn from me, for I am meek and humble of heart, and you will find rest for yourselves. For my yoke is easy, and my burden light.